Today we're working on this white Toyota Corolla, and I just want to give you a proper walk around so you can see exactly what we're starting with. Nothing is hidden, nothing is edited, just a real honest look at the car as it sits. On the surface it looks clean, like most white cars do, but when you start walking around it and looking at the panels properly, you begin to notice the small imperfections that most people miss. Little swirl marks, a few dull spots, and those fine scratches that only show up when the light hits it just right. That's the thing about paintwork. What looks fine from a distance can tell a completely different story up close. So I'm just going around the car slowly so you can see every panel, because in this game, the starting point matters a lot. It's kind of like when people clean their car quickly and think it's perfect. But once you get it under proper light, everything starts to show itself. This Corolla is basically a perfect example of a daily driven car. Nothing extreme, just normal wear and tear. And what we're going to do is take it from that everyday look to something that really stands out. Something that reflects light properly and looks sharp again. So before we start any spraying or polishing, this is our baseline. And from here, we build it up properly. Right now, we're on the first pass of 2K paint on this Toyota Corolla. And this is honestly the part most people underestimate, because everyone wants that glossy show car finish at the end. But if this first pass is wrong, the whole job starts fighting you later. So what I'm doing here is basically laying the foundation, not trying to make it shine yet, not trying to impress anyone, just getting proper, even coverage across every panel. And you'll notice on this first pass, I'm not rushing or trying to drown the panel in paint. That's one of the biggest beginner mistakes. People think more paint equals better finish. No, more paint usually equals runs, stress, and you standing there later pretending you meant for that texture. So this pass is controlled, even movement, consistent distance, and making sure everything is covered properly before anything starts looking pretty. Now the funny part is, when you're spraying like this, the car always looks like it's judging you in silence. Like the panel is saying, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" But trust the process. This is the ugly stage that nobody posts online. Social media shows the final gloss, not this in-between stage where everything looks a bit dull and patchy. What I'm also watching for here is how the paint lays down. You don't want dry spots, you don't want heavy areas, you just want that nice even film across the surface. It's almost like painting a wall, but the wall is curved, expensive. And if you mess it up, you start questioning your career choices for a second. And here's the thing, most people don't realize. This first pass is not about shine at all. If it starts shining now, you're probably applying too much. We actually want it to look a bit flat at this stage. That's normal. The magic happens later when the layers build correctly and everything levels out. So as I go around the car, I'm just making sure no panel gets left behind. Doors, bonnet, side panels, everything gets the same attention. No shortcuts, no "I'll fix it later" attitude, because later usually means sanding it all back and pretending it didn't happen. Now stick around, because this is just the first pass. The real transformation comes when we go into the next coat and start seeing that proper gloss come alive. That's where it stops looking like paint and starts looking like a mirror on wheels. Right now, we're letting the first coat of 2K paint flash off, and this is one of those stages that looks like nothing is happening. But actually, everything is happening. At this point, the surface goes from that wet, shiny look to a more even, slightly dull finish, and that's exactly what we want. It means the solvents are starting to evaporate properly before we go in with the next coat. And this is where patience becomes part of the job. A lot of beginners rush this step because they think, it looks dry, let's go again. But if you do that too early, the paint can trap solvent underneath, and that's when you start getting problems like sinking, dull patches, or uneven gloss later on. So even though it feels like we're just standing here waiting, this step is actually protecting the final finish. So we just let it breathe, let it settle, and once it's ready, we'll go in with the next coat and start building that proper depth and shine. Now we're going in with the second coat of 2K paint on this Toyota Corolla, and this is where things start to come alive. The first coat was just about coverage and building a base, but this coat is where we start improving flow and getting that smoother, more even surface. So I'm keeping my gun movement steady, same distance, nice and controlled passes. No rushing, no heavy spots, just letting the paint lay down properly. You'll notice it starts looking a bit wetter and more uniform compared to the first coat, and that's exactly what we want. That's the difference between a basic finish and a proper professional job. And here's the funny part. This is the stage where people usually start thinking, yeah, it's looking good now, and then they get excited and mess it up. So the key is stay calm, stay consistent, and don't try to force shine yet. We let this coat do its job, then we'll move into the final stage where the real gloss starts to show. Now I'm just continuing the second coat. And as I move across the panels, you can really start to see the paint evening out properly. This is where consistency matters more than anything. Same speed, same overlap, same distance. Because if you change even a little bit, the finish will show it later. You're basically painting discipline into the surface at this stage. And you'll notice I'm not chasing shine yet. The goal here is still control, not gloss. If you try to make it look perfect right now, you usually end up overloading the panel, and that's when you get runs or uneven texture. So it's a bit of a trust the process moment. Looks simple, but it's doing a lot of work underneath. As I finish this pass, I'm just making sure everything is covered evenly, especially edges and tricky areas where paint tends to build differently. Once this coat settles, that's when we let it flash properly and prepare for the final coat, where the real depth and reflection start to come through. Right now, we're just letting the second coat of 2K paint flash off, and this is that short waiting stage where everything settles before we move on. You'll see the surface go from that wet, shiny look into a more even, calm finish. That's the paint leveling and the solvents escaping properly. We're giving it about 30 seconds here just to make sure everything is stable and ready for the next step. And honestly, this is one of those moments where people think nothing is happening, but this is where the quality is actually being locked in. If you rush this, the final finish can suffer. But if you let it breathe properly, everything comes out smoother and more professional. Now this is where we're going to stop for today. But don't think this is the final look, because as you can already see, the 2K paint is starting to shine almost like a clear coat, and that's before we even add clear on top of it. So wait until the clear coat hits this surface. That's when everything goes to another level completely. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because the clear coat video is coming up next, and you don't want to miss that transformation.